Good evening and welcome to the June 20th meeting of the Plymouth Township Zoning Hearing Board. If we had a flag, we would say the Pledge of Allegiance, but we do not. Somebody took our flag.
I apologize. One flag in the entire building.
So we will skip that. So I don't believe there's any housekeeping either, correct, Dave?
No.
So our first case then is 1354 Midland Road. Come on up.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is the application of Ron McCurdy. Mr. McCurdy is requesting a variance from Section 802A of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow 64.4% impervious coverage, where a maximum of 45% is allowed, and to allow 35.6% green space, where a minimum of 55% is required. This property is located at 1354 Midland Road in the D residential zoning district.
Good evening. Are you sworn in?
State your full name. State your full name and spell.
Ron McCurdy,
Sorry.
MCC-URDY.
Raise your right hand, please, sir, so make sure you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about the use of this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right. Good evening. Want to tell everybody on the board and the public here as well what you'd like to do?
We're just putting a front porch on the front of the house. It's there's like a pad there already, roughly maybe 6 feet by, I want to say 16 feet. But we're going to tear that up and put a 8 foot by 22 foot with a roof.
And no other changes to anything?
No, no electric and nothing. It's just front porch.
Kind of a little light or something?
There's a light already out there.
This is similar to what I saw out there on like 13, 46, 44, 42, 40, 52, and 50?
Yeah, the whole, I think there's like 4 houses that don't have a porch, and we're one of them.
Okay. Ms. Pygot, do you have any questions?
Thank you. The only question I have is whether or not your neighbors are aware of this and have you discussed it with them?
what's-
Family issues with you being so close, 2 feet from the property line?
No, the one people alongside of us are renters, and the other side is renters also. And they have their notices, and they said,
That's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. McCurdy, I guess we're taking out the shade tree that's in front of the house?
that's coming down.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there, do you know offhand the current impervious coverage and green space percentages on the property?
The current?
Yeah.
It says it right there.
Sorry, I missed it.
Where are we at there? 45%, I think. We're at 45% is allowed, the max. I think we're going to be covering 64%.
Right, but you're around 45% now?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How big is your current porch out there right now?
There's just a pad there.
Or a pad? How big is
It's
that?
like, I'm going to say like 6 feet by 16 feet.
Okay, so essentially,
It's like a walkway, the front step, but that's going to be all ripped up.
so to answer your question, he's probably roughly at 60% right now,
Okay.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Aprile?
So you're going from 60 to 64, so it's already an existing
Nonconformity.
non-conforming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no questions, thanks.
Mr.
The one that
Romano?
you're going to build, is it similar to what the neighbors have?
What's that?
The one you're going to build, is it similar to what the neighbors
Yeah,
that have a
same.
porch already have?
Same thing. Actually, I was going to go bigger, but I was like, I want to keep it looking all the same.
No further questions.
I was going to say, everybody seems to have
Yeah.
like a uniform front porch
Right, right.
down the block. When I was out there, there are about 4 houses that don't have it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm one of them.
yeah, I have no further questions. Mr. Sander?
No further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Mr.
you.
Conroy?
Has any neighbors complained about any drainage issues out there, runoff or
No,
anything
this-
like that?
In the back, that's what they always complain about, but we never had anybody complaining, but this is
Okay.
out front.
Okay, that's, just wanted to put that on record.
Does anybody from the public wish to speak in support of this application? Does anybody from the public wish to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, public comment is closed. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we grant a variance from the Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 8, Section 802, point capital A, to allow 4% impervious coverage or maximum 45% is allowed, to allow 35.6% green space where a minimum of 55% is required for the property at 1354 Midland Road in the D residential zoning district.
Just 1 second. Did you get that 64.4%? Just want to make sure we have the number correct.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Let's have a vote. Ms. Pygott?
In favor.
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Aprile?
In favor.
Mr. Raimondo?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun with your grandchildren.
Yeah, that's what we're doing it for. I'll be able to pick the permit up, or they'll
Talk to
call me, or,
Yeah, did you apply for the permit?
yeah, everything.
Okay, the permit can't be issued till the day after next month's hearing.
Well, after next month?
Yeah, there's a 30-day appeal period.
Okay.
So just touch base in a couple weeks with the permit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Technically,
Thanks,
the
guys.
township gets winded and they say, that's
Thank you.
it, we're putting our foot down on impervious coverage.
Our next one is the Tech School at 821 Plymouth Road.
That's what you got.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Central Montco Technical High School. This is for the following variance from Section 1601 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow 288 square feet of signage, or a maximum of 30 square feet of signage is permitted. This property is located at 821 Plymouth Road in the Open Space Recreation Zoning District. And Mr. Chesney is here on behalf of the applicant.
Good evening, everyone. My name, for the record, I'm Lauren Chesney, an attorney with Fox Rothschild, here this evening on behalf of the Central Montco Technical High School. We do have, in support of our request for variance, I do have our exhibits put in the binder for you that I'll hand out. We will be marking 4 exhibits, and we will be presenting the testimony of 2 witnesses. I believe I have enough copies for...
Thanks, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of Montco. Yeah, the one right here.
Oh, sure. That's all.
Thank you very much. As indicated in the legal notice, we're here requesting a variance with respect to a proposed sign for the technical high school. There is an existing sign at the property. It's shown on a couple of our exhibits, and we'll go through that in our testimony. It's a monument sign at the corner of Plymouth Road and New Hope Street. It is an existing monument sign, 9 feet by 18 feet, pretty large sign, and it has an electronic message board. We're proposing to remove that sign, but then put one closer to the driveway on Plymouth Road. No electronic message board, no internal illumination. So our testimony will support that application. Unless there's any questions from the board, I'll call Dana Johnson, the first witness.
Sway, will make please give record.
Dana Johnson, D-A-N-A, J-O-H-N-S-O-N.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. So make swear you when you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about the given this and other is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it okay if he sits?
Sure,
sits?
you may sit.
Come on, you don't have to stand up. Okay, Mr. Johnson, can you advise the board, by whom are you employed?
I'm employed by Central Montco Technical High School in Montgomery County,
Okay, and how long have you been so employed?
20 years.
And what's your position there?
Supervisor of facilities.
And can you explain for the board, in case they're not aware, The Central Monco Technical High School primarily serves, or I guess your consortium at the high school
Yes.
is the Colonial School District, the Norristown School District, and the Upper Marion School District. Is that correct?
That's our primary consortium, but
Okay.
actually we expanded in the last 10 years. We actually service Lower Marion, Harrington, Springford, and so a total of 7 school districts that come to our school now.
Okay.
Formerly, our consortium only consisted of the 3.
Okay. I'm going to show you, if you can make reference to that, a document that will mark for identification purposes as Exhibit A1. If you can flip to tab 1 there. Is that document a correct copy of the deed for the property?
Yes.
Okay. And the deed indicates that the owners of the property are the 3 school districts that we mentioned as your primary consortium, correct?
That is correct.
And you are here tonight to represent the technical high school with respect to a sign application, is that right?
Yes.
And you've been authorized to come and testify on behalf of the technical high school?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I indicated a little bit in my opening, but there is an existing monument sign at the corner of Plymouth Road and New Hope Street, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're proposing to remove that sign, is that right?
That is correct.
And that sign has an electronic message board, right?
Yes.
And you're proposing to install a new sign at the Plymouth Road entrance to the high school?
Yes, we are.
Okay, if I can direct you to what we'll mark for identification purposes as Exhibit 2. That's a little plot plan of our property, is that right?
Yes, it is.
I didn't intend for you to fumble with the exhibit.
Yes, that's okay.
And that plot plan, do you know if that was submitted along with our application?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And the plot plan exhibit, what we've identified Exhibit A2, it shows at the small little hash at the corner of New Hope Street and Plymouth Road where the existing monument sign is, correct?
Correct.
And then it shows the Plymouth Road access, right?
That's correct.
All right, so that the plot plan shows a drawing of the building and then the parking areas, right?
Yes.
So you actually have 2 access. You have an access to New Hope Street and an access to Plymouth Road?
Presently, yes.
And the intent or the idea is that the Plymouth Road would be your main access, is that true? Is that correct?
We want that to be identified as our main entry. We identify, yes, it is.
Okay, and that's why the proposed sign is shown to be in that location?
That's correct.
Okay, and the plot plan shows that we're going to sit it back 15 feet from the curb line, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, if we can flip to what we've identified, or marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A3. It's a 2-page exhibit. Does that show, depict the sign that we're proposing to install?
Yes, it does.
And if you take a look at the measurements that are in blue, it shows that the sign is 72 inches tall, right? It would be 6 feet tall, by 24 feet wide, is that right?
That is correct.
And it sits on a 2-foot stone base, is that right?
That's correct.
And that sign, no message board, correct?
No message board.
Okay. And it's not internally illuminated, correct?
No, it isn't.
And in the middle of that, the first page of Exhibit A3, it shows there's a picture of the existing monument sign, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's what's at the corner.
That 9 by 18 is presently at the corner.
Right.
Correct.
And the black area there, that's what the message board, that's what the message board is?
That's the message board. Digital.
And so that sign, it sits up underneath that tree at the corner, right?
That's correct.
All right, and page 2 of that exhibit, that's just a larger version of the letters, right?
That's correct.
And those plans, they were prepared by the sign contractor, right?
Yes.
And he's here tonight to testify as well, correct?
That is correct.
show you what will mark for identification purposes as Exhibit A4, if you can flip to the last page of your packet there. That shows a photograph, correct?
That's correct.
And that's a photograph of the Plymouth Road entrance to the technical high school,
Yes, it does.
and that we superimposed the location of the proposed sign, is that right?
Yes,
So that's where you'd like to put it?
that's correct.
And actually, right over top of the sign, you can see the existing monument sign under the tree, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so that one comes down, and then we want to install this new one at the entrance.
Correct.
Okay, can you give the board a little bit of an explanation as to why we're proposing this new sign, the issues that you might be having, or what you're trying to accomplish by installing the new sign?
Yeah, there are multiple reasons why we're actually proposing this sign. First and foremost is the safety. Our school, Central Monaco Technical High School, has increased attendance from 400 to 500 to over 900 students. COVID pandemic hit us. We didn't realize how much parent drop-off would actually be consistent of dropping off. We went from 20 per session to over 60 per session, which is major for our school to have a parent drop-off. Also, for identifying anyone that's not familiar with the area, coming from sending schools east and west, approaching our school, there's no clear identification to come in Central Monaco. We want to identify that as a main entrance. Now that Colonial Middle School, we actually allowed them to use part of our land for exit only. So we want to actually take the same approach and identify the entry, one-way entry, one-way exit, same as Colonial Middle School. And that way we can deter traffic situations on Plymouth Road. Everything will be exiting on New Hope. So Colonial Middle School will exit on New Hope, Central Monaco will exit on New Hope, and the traffic will flow much easier that way.
Okay, and as, in your position as the supervisor of facility, obviously you're familiar with this property.
Yes.
And the school building sits back a little bit from Plymouth Road or New Hope Street, correct?
Yeah, we have two front yards. For those of you not familiar with, we have two front yards where it sits back off of the road on both front yards. We have a front yard on Plymouth side and front yard on New Hope side.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And either of those driveways, though, you're a corner lot, correct?
Yeah, we're uniquely cornered.
Okay.
Yeah.
And either of those driveways are in fairly close proximity to that intersection.
Yes.
So the idea of directing or identifying the access would be to improve the safety of people coming to the site.
Yes. Adding to that, one of the major concerns that we have that I don't know if the board recognizes if you've been to our facility, but we hold a lot of evening events. And that is a very dark area with no delineation of entry. Our school, we have a culinary arts department that holds a lot of events in the evening at night. So in the dark, there's no way to identify an entryway at Central Monaco Technical High School.
Okay, very good. All right, and based upon the information that you received from the township, in order to install the proposed sign, we need a variance, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the variance is, as indicated in the advertisement, from section 1601 of the zoning ordinance, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that relates to the area of the sign that's being proposed.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, I think our exhibits show that the existing monument sign is 9 foot by 18 feet, right?
That's correct.
And according to Exhibit 3, we are proposing a sign of 6 foot tall by 24 feet wide, correct?
That's correct.
So that would be 144 square feet on one side, correct?
Yes, correct.
And consistent with the legal notice, given the positioning of our sign, we're actually going to have two sides, right, depending upon which direction you're coming from.
East and west, yes.
All right, so 144 square feet on one side, so it would be 288 square feet if you consider both sides.
That's correct.
Okay, you testified that there, you have, the current property, you have two street frontages, correct?
That's correct.
And the current property is not a perfect square, right? Slightly irregular in shape?
Uniquely irregular, yes.
Okay.
When I say uniquely, our corner consists of 3 jurisdictions of police forces. We had a border of Norristown, and so when an event happens on our property, we always get all 3 come out. We
Okay.
try to reduce that. We have Norristown, obviously Plymouth White Marsh, and East Norfolk.
Okay.
At one intersection, yes, sir.
All right. Based upon your conversations with the township, is there any possibility that the proposed sign can be installed in strict conformity with the zoning ordinance? Can we comply with the ordinance with our proposed sign?
No.
So a variance is necessary to enable us to install the sign?
That's correct.
All right. When the technical high school, you didn't create that intersection, right?
No.
And you didn't create the 2 street frontages? And you're trying to improve the safety of the access to and from the site?
Yes. And identify.
Being in your position for the past 20 years, in your opinion, if the board were to grant the variance here this evening, would the variance alter the essential character of the neighborhood that you're in?
No.
In your opinion, would it substantially or permanently impair the use or development of adjacent property?
It will improve the community adjacent to it.
Okay.
With being able to identify.
Okay. It won't impair the
It won't
adjacent
impair it,
property?
no.
Okay. Right. In your opinion, if the board were to grant the variance, would it be detrimental to the public welfare?
No.
And based upon your understanding of what we're requesting, we are requesting the minimum relief possible from the sign regulations,
Yes.
correct? Correct?
Yes.
You have to make sure that we
Yes.
get that from them. Cool. Okay, and based upon your experience at the technical high school and your discussions with the township, is it your opinion that the relief that we're requesting is consistent with the spirit, the purpose, and the intent of the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have for Mr. Johnson.
Do you have anybody else?
We have the sign contract right here.
You're going to have to testify, or?
I can, but I don't need to.
Thank you, I was just wondering. Okay.
We heard all about the size
Yeah,
of the
understood. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's not my case. So, anyway, I have no questions. Ms. Pygott, do you have any questions for the witness?
Yes, one question. Is there any reason why you decided to do away with the messaging board? The new sign will not have one, so is there any reason why?
Yes, besides age, spending money to upkeep maintenance on that digital sign, working in the school district, going to the board 2 times a year for repairs, it's not really working. So identifying clear entrance. We had several accidents out in that area. We really said, next time, we're going to plan for funding, and this is what we need to do.
So the new sign, will it be illuminated, or what's going to make it identifiable at night?
We're going to, it's already, the lighting, we're going to trench up from the present, run electric trench it up from where it's presently located, and use upward lighting, spot lighting on the sign. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There was one more, actually something that we may think about. Students, we're a career and tech ed school, and the students in our networking class were actually one time trying to spoof our sign because they're so advanced in technology. So for those of you not aware of what it is, they wanted to play with the message board from their computers. That was something, we were just like, just in time, so that was the last straw. And you know this generation, they're very tech savvy. We were like just in time, so it broke just in time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It seems that the current square footage of the signs I estimate to be 162 already exceeds 30-foot minimum, right? The 30 square foot minimum?
It does not, the current sign, monument sign does not comply with the ordinance. Correct,
Okay.
that is correct.
That's what we need to know. Good enough. Yeah, I can see why it'd be moving. There did seem to be a real visibility issue with the sign. I mean, even in the brightness of this afternoon, it was hard to see. I know it's turned digital, it's probably turned off, but that shade tree
Yes.
over top is really obscure.
Yes, it does.
That makes a lot more sense to me. If I can miss it, I could.
Right.
Any issues from anybody in the neighborhood?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Freely?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will you need interior directional signs aside from this sign?
Yes. We
And
want, due
Go
to the
ahead.
traffic flow.
do they come into the calculation, Dave?
Yeah, but nothing was presented with this application.
So, can we approve something?
Not on the interior signs, because they didn't ask for anything yet. We didn't know what we would be
They're
approving.
pre-existing to say, for directional flow, entry.
They're already there.
Yes, they're already there. It's not like we're going to be adding. No,
So we don't
they're-
have to, does
No.
it have to be in a calculation at all? I'm just curious.
Not for directional signage.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
so the existing sign, the face is bigger than what you're putting there. It's just you're doing two sides,
Correct,
right?
right, that's correct.
Okay.
That's the issue.
No more questions. Good luck.
Thank you.
Is this new sign going to be on post, or is it going to be into the ground, like,
Three direct burial foundations, 4 feet
Wait,
deep.
hold on.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Hold on.
testify.
Yeah, good. We need to swear, let's get him
Let's swear
sworn
him
and
in.
identify him, and he can absolutely testify, but
Ron Cessna, C-E-S-S-A.
CESS. And then, raise your right hand, please. I will swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this matter is true, the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Just by way of introduction, this is Mr. Ron Cessna. He's the sign designer and installer. So, Mr. Cessna, can you address the question?
Sure. Yes, it's going to be a foam sign, and not just any foam. There's a company called Peachtree that makes foam monuments, and they have their own patent epoxy so it looks good for decades. It really does. So within that foam monument, they put sleeves. In this case, we're going to have 3 steel posts in 4 foot deep, 2 foot diameter concrete piers. And it basically slides over, and we spray foam it, and it takes the blow or the abuse from lawnmowers. It's an amazing product. It is.
so it's just 3 main posts?
3 main posts. Yep.
And then, with the lighting, is it going to be like ground lighting shooting up at the sign?
Yes.
All right.
That's really cool.
For the nighttime events?
Yes.
Which will be done by this, right? This.
Our construction trade permitted.
Construction out there, with like
Yes.
three on each side?
Yes.
All right. No further questions?
Mr. Cessna, just to clarify, so the sign, according to Exhibit A3 that we're showing, you have the sign which is 6 feet by 24 feet, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then it shows it sitting on 2 foot base, it shows it to be stone.
It looks like stone. It is foam as well.
Okay.
It's a separate entity, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the proposed sign would sit on that base?
Correct.
Okay.
It's really an 8-foot tall sign.
Maybe-
You added
Right.
a 2-foot
Sure.
base.
Yeah.
Usually
If you consider that base as a part of the area. So whichever you need to do, that's,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
It's not an area of the sign that we're measuring, but it
Right.
controls where the sign is and could affect visibility. I don't think it does here because you're back 15 feet, but
Right.
it could affect the visibility and everything else being 2 feet higher.
Understood.
So it is important to know where the sign is.
Sure.
And there are some other zoning classes where the height of the sign does matter. I don't think it matters here, but anyway. I have no further questions, Mr. Sander.
I'm just trying to get straight, in prepping this, I wrote that the concrete pad will be 4 inches thick, and then you said something about 4 foot deep concrete. I don't know where I saw that. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, in this case, there'll be, because of this product, there will be no foundation, or there'll be no pier or pad. It'll actually be 3 direct burial posts, steel posts.
Okay, and they're going to go into what?
They go into a 2-foot diameter, 4-foot deep concrete footing.
Okay.
Yep, independent footings.
Okay, so that reference to 4 inches, concrete pad 4 inches thick is erroneous.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from.
I'm not either, but I know I read it somewhere.
The last application talked about a concrete pad, but that was...
No. Okay, so that gets that straight. When you're driving down the access road, well, let me ask you this question. Will any traffic exit the school at this access, onto Plymouth Road?
It's not supposed to. Exiting is supposed to be New Hope.
And the signs internally to the site say that,
Yeah.
tell you that you're supposed to exit out toward New Hope Street?
Did the sign say that?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so how do people know that?
Internally, it says enter only, that's posted there, and then exit only.
Oh, okay.
They're presently,
Okay.
yes.
So this
But
is-
the specific sign does not say that, no.
This sign.
Our monument sign doesn't say it.
I see it. Gotcha. Okay. All right, no sight distance problem with the site being 8 feet tall, with cars driving into that access, with being able to see.
No, we have front yard. And it's the hill front yard. So the other sight line on the other side of New Hope Street, it won't interfere with that because you're approaching Johnson Highway, and to the left, you don't need to view that area.
Right now, it's a 15-foot setback, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's our front yard.
What hours are the lights going to come on and turn off?
It's usually dusk. We would assume it's at dusk. That's where we would put them at. And then, like our normal lights that are on our building, they usually go off at dawn.
On at dusk.
Off at dawn. That's for security of our building.
But the lights are going to just shine on the sign.
Just shine on the sign.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Are they going to, is it an automatic, is it a light sensor that's going to turn the lights on so that when it gets to a certain level of darkness, or do you have to manually set
Our
that?
access control panel handles that
Okay, where's that located?
in our building.
So the photos out?
Okay, and you propose lights on the ground facing the sign from both sides?
Both sides.
Okay.
Yep. East and westbound.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Conroy,
I have nothing further. Thank you.
anybody in the audience who would like to speak in support of this application?
So I live in the development across the
No, you have to come up and identify
Come up
yourself for the
Identify
record, please.
yourself for the court reporter.
I'm Michael Brophy,
Spring, please, but
B-R-O-P-H-Y. So I live in the development across the street, Clubview Manor. Have you talked to anybody over there yet?
Comment goes to the board. You don't ask them questions.
Has anybody talked to anybody at Clubview Manor about this sign? Not that you need to, I'm sure there's no legal responsibility, but as good neighbors, I would just like to see a picture of what the sign is going to look like.
Oh,
So I
sure,
can
sure.
tell the people that I live with. I mean, my house is probably less than 100 feet from where this sign is going to be. So I just want to know what's going on.
What's your address, Mr. Brophy?
642 Greenview Court.
Greenview Court.
This is a copy of what's proposed.
This is the current sign.
That's the current sign. This is a plot plan of the corner, school building parking lot. This is the existing sign. We're proposing this sign here along the driveway access.
Is it parallel? Is it
Yes.
parallel with the street?
Perpendicular to the street.
Here's the access. It's facing this way. And it would be,
Show them this one.
yeah, that's what I just showed.
That's what we're looking at.
And it would be this sign. And this
And the
one.
lights are going to face away from my development.
Yes, they sign onto the sign perpendicular to.
And you're going to do away with the old sign?
Yes, we're removing that.
That's all I got.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And all the neighbors did get a notice from the township.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I got a notice that there was a hearing.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Right,
Right.
no, that's why we sent
But we
it.
didn't have any details about what was going
Right,
on. Okay.
thank you. Anybody else who would like to speak about this application? Hearing none, public comments closed. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a variance from the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 16, Section 1601, to allow 288 square feet of signage where maximum 30 square feet of signage is allowed. Property located at 821 Plymouth Road in an open space recreation zoning district.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Let's have the vote. Ms. Pygott,
In favor.
Mr. Daly,
In favor.
Mr. O'Freilly,
In favor.
Mr. Armando.
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next is the Commonwealth Charter Academy at 550 Township Line Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Come up here or stay where we
Sure,
are?
come on up. Come on up, it's easier.
Closer the better.
Especially if you have to swear people in, it's easier.
This is the application of Commonwealth, I'm sorry, Paul, I'll start again. Application of Commonwealth Charter Academy for a special exception pursuant to Section 2500B2 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow an educational use at 550 Township Line Road in the Campus Industrial Zoning District. And Mr. Murrin is here representing the applicant.
Thank you. Sid, why don't you come up too? Let me introduce the individuals who are with me. You want to swear them on us, or?
Sure, we can do that.
First, we have James Skinner, who is the facilities manager for Commonwealth Charter Academy. We have Scott Williams, who's the real estate broker of record for the property, and Jim Kilduff, who's the current owner of the property. So, if you want to swear them.
Each state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Jim Skinner, S-K-I-N-N-E-R.
Scott Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S.
James Kilduff from the city.
It's an easy way to do it.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
We're really only going to present the direct testimony of two witnesses. Jim Kilduff is here as the current owner to answer questions as they may come up. As Mr. Sanders said, my name is Phil Murrin. I'm an attorney practicing in the Harrisburg area and representing Commonwealth Charter Academy, which is headquartered in the city of Harrisburg. Commonwealth Charter Academy, for those of you who are not familiar, cyber charter schools are relatively new in the state of Pennsylvania. They were authorized by special statute that was adopted in 2003, and Commonwealth Charter Academy, which was then known as Commonwealth Connections Academy, was one of the very first cyber charter academies that was chartered in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The chartering entity is the Pennsylvania Department of Education. And cyber charter schools are K-12 schools that are classified for statutory purposes as public schools. So any resident of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania of appropriate school age is entitled to attend Commonwealth Charter Academy, the attendance satisfies the compulsory attendance requirements of the public school code. Right now, Commonwealth Charter Academy has approximately 22,000 students enrolled. There was a huge jump in enrollment due to the COVID pandemic, where instruction was shifted from in-person classroom for the most parts in traditional school districts to online or remote learning. Commonwealth Cyber School conducts all of its educational instruction remotely through connections over the internet. By law, the school is required to provide each student with a computer, with internet access, with a printer if one is necessary, with all of the educational or instructional materials that are required. So when a student enrolls, the vendor that is engaged by Commonwealth Charter Academy will send them a huge box of materials with all of the educational, the textbooks, the instructional materials, the computer, all the peripherals, and everything of that nature. They have signed a contract to purchase the building at 550 Township Line Road, which is currently being used for general office use. It's a 45,000 square foot building, and CCA will initially occupy about 30,000 square feet of the building for its own uses, and the existing tenants will occupy the other 15,000 square feet and continue the office uses. So I'll ask Jim Skinner, who is the facilities director for CCA, to give you a little more of a narrative background of how the property is going to be configured and used. But first, Scott Williams has some exhibits for you that depict how a CCA facility is ordinarily set up, and also a drawing for this particular facility.
Mr. Murn, how many students did you say CCA?
Currently 22,000 students all across the Commonwealth. Let me just add that even though this is an educational use of the property, the people who will be occupying the property are employees, staff, teachers, and administrators of CCA. There will not be school buses coming in and out. There's no gymnasium, no cafeteria, no instructional space. The teachers usually operate from office-type cubicles with all of the necessary equipment. They do have conference rooms and other instructional, like studios, that they can deliver the instruction. They deliver the instruction online, but they can deliver it, what we say is synchronously, where a student is watching the teacher teach the course in real time, or asynchronously, where there are pods of instruction that are available for the student to access. So I've said more than enough. So Jim.
We are here locally too. If you're familiar with Sandy Hill Road, we lease space right now, 1,000 Sandy Hill Road. Just for to give you an idea, there's a Mexican restaurant. There was a grocery store. I think it was like a Giardi's or
Gennardi's.
if I'm saying that
Gennardi's.
correctly. Gennardi's at one time. We have about 15,000 square feet there now. It's offices, cubicles, kitchenettes. It's an office. We've outgrown it. So, as Phil said, with the increase in students, there's been an increase in teachers needed. And we've hired across the state. Our teacher population has more than doubled in 2 years. So we are at the point in that building that we are almost doubled up. People are rotating and almost cube sharing at this point. So we've been on the hunt for a larger space, and which has led us to Jim's building. Our goal would be to renovate the inside of it and have more cubicle space for our teachers, more offices for the administration, the principals, the assistant principals, and basically give us some room to grow with the growth that we've seen due to COVID. As Phil mentioned, we are teaching students that are at home. You won't see any school buses pulling up out front of our buildings or anything like that. We're an office-looking school, basically.
With the chair's permission, if Scott Williams, we'll come back to Jim Skinner, but if Scott Williams could just explain the exhibit that you're looking at.
Sure, yeah, we just wanted to kind of share a little bit more detail about the building. Subject building is on the corner, almost on the intersection of Township Line Road and Walton Road, just a little west of Walton Road. Corporate headquarters, daycares, small office buildings, Holy Mary School.
Rosary.
Yes, right. So it's a mixed use here. It's a great location for the school in reference to further recruitment along with amenities for the teachers. In 2020, we bought a large office building in Malvern, which was originally intended to consolidate this group into, but it was clearly apparent that the group who are in Norristown want to stay in this area. So hence why we're looking to expand now. Any improvements would obviously be submitted with a permit application. There are going to be some interior renovations occur. We don't really plan on doing anything with the grounds or the parking lot. The property is adequately parked for the future use of the CCA. Skip over this. This was just to show the amount of parking spaces. As Mr. Moran had indicated, this is a multi-tenant building right now. The area outlined in yellow is the area which the school intends to occupy initially. Right now there's a church, there's a daycare, an engineering firm is on the lower portion, and another architectural engineering firm are here. So Mr. Kilduff has made arrangements with these tenants to terminate their leases early to allow us to get in and start doing the renovations. This portion, it has 3 or 4 tenants, which are listed down the side here, which we will keep in place and allow them to continue as tenants until we need the part of the building to grow into. I just wanted to kind of show you some photos of how the building's set up right now, and this photo is commensurate to how the school does operate. They've got a combination of cubes and offices. This shows the church area and the daycare, which we intend to renovate to traditional office space. Jim's told us about the school. Just wanted to kind of let you know that we do have a statewide footprint, and we're continuing to grow quite rapidly throughout the state. This is just an example of what they've done with some other properties. So obviously, any work on the exterior facade will be submitted on a separate permit. And last but not least, just to kind of further validate, this is a property which we acquired in Wyomissing, West Reading, and we're just in the process of beginning this work. And it just kind of emphasises that it really is standard office. We have a training room at one end of the building, but other than that, we've got cubes, offices, small conference rooms, a kitchenette, etc. And that is it.
Mr. Marin, can we label this booklet as Exhibit A1 for the record?
I assume that the application itself and the support and the materials that were submitted to the township is a board exhibit?
Yes, they are always board exhibits.
And Mr. Skinner can confirm this for you. One of the pages in the exhibit that you saw is a map of the Commonwealth with the existing locations of the CCA offices. The objective of CCA is to have one of its offices within 45 minutes to an hour of every one of the employees who has to locate there to actually teach. There, right now with COVID, a lot of the teaching staff is teaching from home just because of the pandemic limitations. But CCA's objective is to have all of its teaching employees to be in one of the office locations and to teach from the office location for purposes of collegiality, the synergy that is produced by having the teaching staff and the administrators all in the same physical presence of one another. And of course, with the way that Zoom has enhanced its capabilities over the course of the pandemic, a lot of Zoom conferencing is taking place between and among the facilities that are located throughout the Commonwealth as well. So in your ordinance, there's something of a checklist of things that I believe we need to do some testimony with respect to. So if you'll indulge me, I'll just go down this with Mr. Skinner as the witness. In the ordinance, Mr. Skinner, with respect to allowance of special exceptions and whether or not the allowance would be contrary to the public interest, there are a number of factors that have to be considered. So I'll just go down these. In your opinion, will the proposed use substantially increase traffic congestion in the streets in the area? No. Will the proposed use increase the danger of fire or panic or otherwise endanger the public safety?
No.
Will the proposed use overcrowd the land or create an undue concentration of population?
No.
Will the proposed use impair an adequate supply of light and air to any adjacent property?
No.
Will the proposed use be consistent with the surrounding zoning and uses?
Yes.
Will the proposed use adversely affect the comprehensive plan of the township?
No.
Will the proposed use unduly burden water, sewer, school, park, or other public facilities?
No.
Will the proposed use be detrimental to the appropriate use of any adjacent property?
No.
Will the proposed use endanger the safety of persons or property by improper location or design of facilities for ingress or egress?
No.
Will the proposed use otherwise adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare?
No.
And that's the checklist within the ordinance. So we don't have any further testimony, and the witnesses are available to answer your questions.
Sure. Ms. Pygott?
Am I correct in understanding that your intention is not to increase the square footage, just alter the use of the building?
Correct, yes. With the layout the way it is, part of it was a church, the daycare. We would be opening that up and making it all one contiguous space in order to fit the number of cubicles and offices in there that we would use.
You're not going to add one to the building?
No.
The other thing is, I know it's a charter school. Is this going to operate similar to a private school, or is there going to be tuition? Is this a
No,
paid
there's no tuition. The way the school choice law works is, as a taxpayer, your tax dollars follow your student. So we're a public school, basically. There's no charges.
No charge for the student?
Correct. Yep.
So how do you get into school? You just apply?
Exactly. Yeah, as a parent, you just, there's 14 cyber charters, I think, roughly.
Right now, there are 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of applying to the one of your choice.
Thank you.
And then the school's obligated to accept.
Yes.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're not demolishing any part of the building? Right?
No, it'll all be interior. I'm sure we'll take a look at the way the HVAC is set up. There might be some things that will happen on the roof, but no other changes that way.
So Calvary Vision and some of the other tenants are going to be out,
Yes.
they're not going to continue in that building?
Correct.
Okay. And are there any issues for any tenants of the adjacent businesses or anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I've not heard any issues whatsoever.
No more questions, thank you.
Mr. Riley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this building is 45,000 square feet, and what percent is office now?
75% more or less.
And so now it's going to be 100% office, basically, right?
Correct.
And there's no student teaching, instructional at the
We
premises?
do everything virtually.
So it's all
through the
computers,
computer.
internet,
Mhm.
unless you have meetings in a conference room or something to that nature?
Yeah, but typically, I mean, still, students aren't coming out too much right now, yet even. And you would have to be local to the building too. Like, what happens is, you could be a teacher here, you could be an algebra teacher working out of this building, but you might be teaching kids in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Erie. Because we can do it through virtually, it's kind of cool. You're talking to your whole group of kids on your screen are from all over the state.
Sure. I think your business plan probably works just fine. I'm more concerned about you're getting rid of a church, right? And I don't think the occupancy is all day long, 8 to 5, right? Only when they have services.
The daycare operates out of there.
And the daycare operates all day long.
Curious how the occupancy is going to change, and does that affect existing parking requirements?
There's parking lot has never been built in the 20 years that I own it.
Do you know how many parking spaces do you have?
200 more or less.
We typically on other projects park around about 3.5 per thousand. So we're typically, we're under the 4 per thousand because they do not put their teachers in small cubes or desks. They're in fairly large cubes. So
We don't look like a call center or
No.
anything like that. We're pretty spread out because the teachers need space so that the students, if you're on, you don't want to hear another teacher teaching. So we're pretty well spread out.
How many employees do you have for this location? Just for this location?
I know the building in Norristown right now has around 45. But we would hire an architect and we wouldn't grow it past its point.
So you don't have that whole building in Norristown then? That's a big building.
No. No, we just have one suite.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have one suite. It was a law office, I think, at one point. We just
Bank.
took it over.
I think it was converted to a bank after the supermarket went
It
out.
might have been, yeah, there's been multiple people in and out of there too.
Comcast was on the end, Progress Bank was in the
Yeah.
big spot. So you're gonna have 45 people in this location?
Well, we hope to be able to grow further here as other tenants move out. We hope to be able to grow more. We would never grow past the parking though. We just wouldn't design it that way.
Okay. Yeah, there was just no parking specs on any of these drawings. I mean, it looks fine, it looks like it works just fine. You had mentioned there's no traffic congestion. Well, I'm not sure you really know that. If 8 o'clock in the morning when you're going to work, church is not in, but your whole office is in, so
Well,
you don't know if you're going to create a traffic jam or not.
Typically, we haven't in our other buildings because the teachers do flex hours. So a lot of them, because we do teach such a diverse group of students, they're not always learning at the same time. The nice thing about the virtual type of learning is that some kids are starting at noon and ending at 9, and some of our students work full-time. We've got a really different mix of students. It's not like in a normal bricks-and-mortar school.
So do you have various shifts?
So a lot of times, yeah, teachers will, some are there at 6 a.m., some are 7, some are 8, and then they're leaving at different times. They're allowed to flex their time based on the type of teacher they might be. Some of our high school teachers start a little bit later because of the high school group. A lot of times they aren't up bright and early, so it just kind of really depends. Up to this point in all of our buildings, I don't think we've ever seen any kind of a traffic jam, so to speak, of people coming in all at once and leaving all at once.
And no need in parking based on a change in occupancy levels.
Just on the calculations, we have 202 parking spaces, which works out at just under 4.5 per thousand. If we repeat what we've repeated on several other projects at 3.5 per thousand, we're going to have about 50 redundant parking spaces.
Okay. No more questions, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Armando.
Just so you pick a location based on your teachers where they live. That's the important part.
That is the important part for us, is finding good areas of the state where the teaching colleges are. We've done well in the Pittsburgh area, and we've done well in the Philadelphia, in suburban Philadelphia.
So the kids just have to live in the state, anywhere in the state. But the important part that you're concerned with is that have people that are available to teach in that area within 45 minutes to an hour drive.
Yeah, and of course we like to be able to say that as we're recruiting people, that as Scott mentioned, that there's good restaurants around, there's easy access turnpike. Right. You know, the things that are here in this area are attractive to. It's a great place to have an office. Obviously, there's so many offices here.
But currently, a lot of teachers are teaching from home as well.
Oh, they are, yeah, right now. But next year, we're going to start to slowly rotate them back in. They're going to be coming back.
So you would prefer them teaching from the facility, not from home?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
just the
I mean, a lot of teachers are, coming right out of college, being able to work together, especially with a principal or assistant principal. It just creates a better teacher, we feel.
All right, no further questions. Thank you.
And what are the days and hours of operation going to be?
We're Monday through Friday. We say on our website we're open 8 to 4, but we do allow, as I mentioned, we do allow teachers to flex. So we're pretty easygoing as long as they take care of the kids.
Can you give us an earliest and a latest on each day?
I I would say
Be generous to yourself.
6:30. I see people in the buildings, and I mean, I'll see people at 5 or 5:30.
Do you have any openings on the weekends?
Teachers are allowed in our buildings 24/7, but we don't really have any specific, there's nothing going on with students at that point as far as classes or anything.
There's no extracurricular activities with students on, say, a Saturday?
Sometimes they'll do, like they do bookmobile once in a while. I mean, it's really random. Like, 'cause we don't have any sporting events. We don't have like dances or anything like a regular school would have. So it would have to, it's very rare that anyone.
What about other activities that schools have, say a school paper or?
Those kinds
they
of
have
things.
other clubs?
Yeah, there are clubs, but they all meet virtually.
Right, but are you going to have your teachers?
They wouldn't be in the building on a Saturday.
Okay, well, that's what I was getting at.
I'm
because,
sorry, I didn't understand.
I know at the high school here, it's very common for a whole multitude of different clubs to have people meeting on a Saturday.
Yeah.
To be doing an event, whatever that event might be.
Yeah.
It's not just sports, it's all kinds of different events.
And
And they meet after school, they have the mock trials, they have all different kinds of clubs that do all different things at all different hours.
Gotcha.
That's why I was wondering, are you going to have those kind of activities being conducted, at least in part, out of your building at different hours?
I typically, on a weekend, the teachers aren't in the building.
Are you going to have things like teacher conferences at night?
No.
So how does a parent meet with a teacher?
Virtually.
What is that, at night, and that's not done with teachers in your building?
Not in the building, no.
If I could just add, teachers do have home computers as well, and so if there's a need for a teacher to interact with a student or a parent from their own home, they can do that as well.
Right. And I was never clear on how many employees you said you have in this space.
Well, I think in this space, I mean, we'll design it for what we can park, and we'll hire an architect to do all that. I believe the Norristown office has somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 employees right now. But this would be, I mean, this would give us 3 times the space that we have in Norristown. So we would be able to hire into this building based on what the architects would determine that would be fit.
And I know in talking to Mr. Sander, we were unclear about this space right here, because it didn't look like it was included as space, it was part of your application, and yet it seems to be included in the exhibit that was just handed up tonight.
This is one tenant, the big one, and this is another tenant, and they will both be vacated.
Well, that's because when you look at
Yeah.
the plan that was submitted in
Sorry.
the application did not appear to show that this
Yeah,
was included.
It's inconsistent, you're right.
Right. So this, the entire yellow space will be included.
In this one, yeah.
Correct. Okay, I just want to make sure we understood the space that was being applied for. So I have no further questions. Mr. Sander?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry, before I do that, I have one other
Absolutely.
question. Was there, I didn't see anything about signage. Did you have any application for a sign on this?
We had not looked at that yet.
Okay.
We were just planning on, as we get closer, we'll obviously follow the code or of what's allowed.
There is an existing monument sign on Township Line Road.
Right.
Which has all the tenants' names on there.
And I think there's a building sign too for the church.
There is, yeah.
We may have granted a variance for that. I don't remember.
I don't, not
I just
since I've been here.
But I'm just saying, we have
Section
granted.
1602 of the zoning ordinance will give you the guidelines for the signage for the site.
That's all. I'm sorry about that, Dave.
You took my question.
I had it here as a
We
question.
figured we'd get through this hurdle first and then
Mr. Williams, I didn't get, what is, are you an engineer or architect? I didn't get your,
I'm a real estate broker representing CCA.
Okay.
I'm with JLL.
Okay, great. Deliveries. Tell us about how often deliveries will be made and what types of vehicles will make deliveries there.
It would be UPS or FedEx. Really, the only thing we get are office supplies, janitorial supplies. All of the student-related things come out of a distribution center in Middletown, and they go direct to the student.
Middletown, PA, near Hershey?
Yes.
Okay, there's a billion Middletowns, and
Yes.
I nailed it. Okay, I'm very happy about that. UPS and FedEx trucks, delivery trucks like that.
Right,
No
yeah.
18-wheelers, no
No.
big-time delivery stuff. All right.
This will be strictly office-related
Okay.
items.
Is the building ADA compliant?
It's a good question.
Yes.
It is. Okay, and it will remain that way?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hours of operation, you gave us 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, you said there were 14 cyber charter schools. Does that mean 14 of your school
No.
or 14 total?
Like competitors, I guess you
Okay.
could say, other cyber charters in the state.
And that's in the state?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Conroy?
Just to get back to the parking, I'm not 100% sure, and I probably should have taken a look at the record plan when it was recorded for this building. But in general, a church would need a lot more parking than an office use. So I'm assuming this building was built with that in mind, at least I'm hoping. I don't know, do you remember, Jim?
I don't, Dave.
But I'm just saying the parking ratio would go down with this use compared to the church. That's all I want to say. That's all. I didn't do my homework, I apologize.
Would anybody from the public like to speak in support of this application? Would anybody from the public like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to grant a special exception from the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 25, Section 2500, point capital B.2, to allow for educational use of the property located at 550 Township Line Road in a campus industrial zoning district, all in conformance with the testimony and exhibits offered tonight.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Good. Absolutely. We will vote. Ms. Pygott?
In favor.
Mr. Daly?
In favor.
Mr. Aprile?
In favor.
Mr. Raimondo?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Adjourned.